Hi folks, so what we want to do in this video is implement our fly mechanic. So I want to do this with the press of a key. So what we need to do is go into our Unreal Projects folder, open your projects, go into the config folder, and then open up default inputs with any text editor. So let's open it with Notepad. Now these are action mappings, and they take a keyword and they communicate that keyword with the C++ files. And you can specify a key on your keyboard or device or mouse which can trigger this keyword. So let's just copy one of those lines and paste it underneath, and let's call this fly. Let's give it that keyword, and now the key we want to use for this is F. So when we hit F on our keyboard, it will trigger the keyword fly, and that should be picked up by the C++ files. Okay, but we still need to do a little bit of code on the back end to make sure that that keyword is picked up. So let's have a look in our setup player input component function, and this is the function that handles that communication to the config files. So what we're going to do is type in input component bind action and our keyword of fly. Now we want this to activate once the key has been released, so i.e. released this, given the reference to our character, ampersand a my game character, and this is the function that gets to fire, that is fired by releasing F on the keyboard. So let's call this on fly. Oops. On fly. Okay. Now the reason this is showing up red is because we haven't declared or created this function yet. So let's do that right now. So in our header file for our character, in the public section, let's put void on fly. Okay. And in our CPP file, void a my game character. That always needs to be declared first of all. On fly. So what we want to put here, we want to set the movement to flying. At standard, our character is set to falling or walking. So what we want to do is set it to flying, and we need to access the movement component for this, because our character, all of its movement is running off another class, another component. So what we need to do is reference that component and have a look at its functions and see what we can do with that. So let's make sure we have that component first. If character movement exists, then character movement set movement mode to move flying. Okay. So now when we press, let me just go through the stages here. So now when we press our F key, it will fire off trigger for the keyword fly. And now our C++ file is picking up that keyword through the bind action function, and is firing off another function called onFly, which is our lovely little function right here, which then sets off our movement mode to flying. Set our movement to flying. Okay, so let's build that. Okay, once that's built, let's open up the engine and open our project, and let's see what kind of effect this has on our character. So let's click play. Okay, let's press F, and then let's just move up into the sky, and look at that, we are flying. But pressing F again doesn't disable it, so we want to implement that feature now. So let's exit our editor. Okay, and now let's create a boolean. So let's declare it in the header file, bool be flying. Let's put let's initialize it in our constructor first. And this function at the top here, my game character construction script, this is basically initializing everything. So you initialize everything from the outset here if you want. So let's put flying equals false to begin with. Okay. Initialize. Excuse me. We want to put if flying. I beg your pardon. First of all, we want it so flying equals the opposite of what it was. Okay, so now when we execute this function, it will just switch it to the opposite of what it was. So if it was true, it will turn false. If it's false, it will turn true. If flying, then set our movement mode to flying, else switch it back, set movement mode to falling. Okay, so let's build that. Okay, once that's built, open up the editor with your project, and let's see what kind of effect this has. Now we should be able to switch the flying mode on and off with the same key. Okay, so F flying, fantastic. F falling, there you go. That's exactly what we wanted. But he still doesn't really look like he's flying. He's just kind of walking on air. So let's just change that a second. So we can do that in the editor itself. So let's go to character and animation blueprint. So I kind of like the animation of the character when he's falling. Kind of looks like he's flying. So we could use the same animation. Okay, So let's try this. Okay, so if our pawn is valid, then set this boolean is in air. Okay, so there's our falling blueprint node, and it's coming off the movement component, which is what we've been using in the C++ files. So let's just drag and pull this little node off here, and let's just type in fly and see what we get. Okay, so if the player is flying, we also want it to play the same animation as when it's falling. So here we need an OR boolean, so OR. So now we have if our player is falling, or if our player is flying, then play the animation. Compile, save. Let's take a little look at that. So now flying, there we go. He's looking good, looking good. Falling, flying, falling, flying, falling. Okay. I kind of want him to move in the Z direction, up direction, just about, I don't know, 200 units or so, just so it looks like he levitates a bit better as soon as he starts flying. So let's do that right now. Go back into Visual Studio, and we're just going to access the character movement component again. Character movement. The velocity of our character. Let's make it so moving on the Z axis, so X, Y, Z. Okay. By 200 units. Return character to normal movement. So let's just build that. Okay, once that's been built, open up the editor again. And let's test this out. Okay, so let's press F. There you go. Our character is moved up as soon as we press the F key. Press it again. Fall to Earth, or whatever planet you're on. Okay, and I think that will do for this video.